Miss Alyse, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well.
You want to open up some wine?
Yes.
All right, so which one are we doing first?
So we're going to start with the Cremant d'Alsace.
Cremant, say it again?
Cremant. This is a sparkling wine from the Alsace region of France.
Okay.
So northeast part of France, kind of right by the border of Germany, actually. It is made in the same method as champagne, but different grapes.
Oh, so it's carbonated?
Yeah, so it's going to be sparkling.
Okay.
And that just means that the second fermentation that gives it those bubbles happens in the bottle as opposed to in a tank like Prosecco.
Oh, so they do the second fermentation in that exact bottle? Or just in a bottle?
I don't know if it's in this exact bottle, but it's in bottle as opposed to like a big tank.
Okay, sweet. Hold on. Hey, keep doing that. I'm going to check if this is recording real quick. Keep going.
Keep going, all right.
Yeah, you go. So is there a specific way to like open champagne like bottles versus like like it's obviously it's not just like a pop in all the time, right?
Some people, like crazy people, dexterous people, can just like pull this out.
Okay.
I can't. But how I was taught, like book wise and tested on, was removing the cap as I did. And then holding with one hand onto the cork so that it doesn't fly out, and then you actually twist from the bottom.
Nice.
And there should be a pop coming soon.
She's nervous, guys. Oh, there we go.
You wanted that right by the mic, right? That's how it's supposed to be done.
That sounded so satisfying.
It should sound exactly like that. And I will pour you first. The other thing we learn is to pour with the label facing the gas.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I hope you like it.
Did you work out this morning?
I did. Actually, I coached this morning, so a little bit of working out, a little bit coaching. So 6:45 in the morning, coaching a strength and conditioning class at Krav Maga Worldwide.
Nice.
Over on the west side.
Me and you have a similar, like, I guess, like, relative lifestyles now, because, like, we both, like, train, work out, and then we're into, like, the spirits industry.
Yeah, I think it balances it out really well, right? Like, cheers.
How does it balance it out really well? I'm curious to, I'm curious to hear about your perspective on it.
So it balances out on just a, like, caloric level,
All right,
right?
hold on real quick. Before we get into the caloric level and everything like that, how do you taste like a wine? Like, if someone who doesn't know anything about wine, like, what's the go-to, like, just simple, not boring, like, answer, like, go?
Yeah. So I would say you see it first. So
Okay.
you're looking at it. You're judging a little bit of the color. Here you can obviously see there's some bubbles on it, right?
Okay.
Then you might take a little sniff.
Okay. What does the color tell you about the wine?
Well, it can tell you sometimes the grape.
Mm-hmm.
It can tell you a little bit sometimes age. So if you've got a red wine that's got a lot of age to it, it'll be more brown or tawny.
Okay.
Than a newer or a more recent vintage.
Okay.
If you've got a wine that is, and I'm being really careful with the glass here, if you've got like for like a white wine, it might range, or like orange is a good example, like skin contact. A grape that is fermented with more time on its skins will be more orange in color, so you would see that.
Okay. What about in terms of like legs?
Yeah, so I have not, like, I maybe this is just being newer into wine or in my studies. That has never come up in my education, the legs. But
really?
Yeah, I think it's like maybe an older way of thinking about wine.
Okay. So basically legs, from what I understand, is you'll like twirl the wine, and depending how thick the streaks go down, it's like the like more sweet or has more alcohol in it.
Right.
Depending on that.
Right.
I studied a little bit of wine like a couple years ago, but I never had the, I guess, like fortitude, passion to like pursue it further. I don't know. It's just like it's a classic thing to do. I so many people who like are I guess have like great status in the world. They just drink wine or whiskey or smoke cigars. And I just thought it was like a cool thing to do growing up. And so I just tried those like the last few years to see what happened. So what got you into wine?
I think most people in wine have like a specific bottle that they think of, and it kind of sticks out in their brain as a monumentous bottle that they've had. And I have two. One is the first time I tried a dry Riesling.
A dry Riesling?
To
okay, is there a
sweet
specific brand?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I actually don't remember the producer. And I think it was German. I don't think it was Alsace like this Cremant is. But you can get phenomenally delicious dry
So
Riesling
why
from
do
Alsace.
when you say Riesling, a lot of people are like, it's sweet.
I know.
Like, it's just way too sugary. And like, what do you have to say to that? Because like, obviously that's like not the case. Like, why do you think that has the perceived notion of just like sweet?
I think that's what they're getting at the grocery store. Like they're just getting those big, tall blue bottles at the grocery store, and
Some
that's
barefoot.
what they, yeah, right. And that's like what they think that grape is supposed to be. And you can certainly have really nice
Sure.
Rieslings with a lot of sugar, but it's not my jam. So the first time I had a dry one, it just blew my mind, and I feel like I have a lot of passions in life, but I think one of my passions is introducing people
So
to that.
like, blew your mind. Like, well, how so? Because like, there's a lot of things that like I'll eat really good food, and I'm like, oh, that like chocolate cake like blew my mind, but that won't make me like go become a baker. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. So I love learning. Like,
Okay.
I'm a huge passion, lifelong learner, always
Sure.
want to learn. There is so much to learn about wine.
Okay.
It's almost
Go
like
ahead and bring that mic close to you. Turn it. There we go. There we go.
it is almost like a masochistic sense of learning because you'll never know everything about wine. And even
Sure.
if you get close to knowing, then you start learning about the different vintages. And
Okay.
every year, every region has something
Why
new to
is
share.
it so interesting to you? Like, why did you gravitate towards it in terms of just like you want to learn more and more and more and more?
I like drinking.
Sure.
Like, honestly, I think I just actually enjoy drinking, and having the ability to speak to the subject matter is really fun for me. And knowing what I'm drinking.
Yeah, I think knowing the thing with wine, like the vintage, the story behind the product is really cool. It gives conversation like we're having right now. Like I bartend, right? And so like I try to learn the stories and the knowledge about certain cocktails, you know? So for example, like the espresso martini, right? So this model came into a bar, the bartender made it. This girl asked like, hey, make me a drink that will like wake me up and fuck me up, you know?
Right.
And you're like, oh, that's a cool story that could lead to that cocktail versus like, I don't know, like you just named off this wine, how it's from, like how it's different in terms of it's not champagne, but it's fermented the same way in a bottle. Like, I was like, oh, that's super cool.
It's super cool, right?
Yeah.
And then beyond just the logistics of it, then you've got the producer's story and what makes them special and what makes them tick and the passion they bring to their wine, especially smaller producers like this. He's a biodynamic grower, and so then you're learning about biodynamic farming practices, and there's just so much complexity and layering into wine that actually, before you even taste it, that goes into the process.
What makes a wine, I guess, so like stand out on the shelves? Because like there is so many alcohol products in the world. Yeah. Right. And you only know like so many, like a handful of vodkas, tequilas, bourbons, wines. Like I could probably only name off like 20 wines that are just popular, but there are, I don't know how many producers in the world,
many.
right?
Yeah, so many. I think, and I think people that have a significant amount of producer knowledge are so impressive that they can remember stuff year over year, and how producers have shifted philosophies or have grown in their reach and their scope. For me, and this might be as people kind of get in their careers in wine as well, but I've been really gravitating towards smaller producers, producers that either own their vines as well, or really have a hand in how the vines and then the grapes are being taken care of.
Is this in terms of you just like trying different wines? You're gravitating towards smaller producers right now. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I think I'm purposefully seeking them out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then trying them based with the knowledge I have. But wines that I'm seeking out in general, just for fun, would be more like grape specific. So I love a Gamay, which is the Beaujolais grape.
Okay, so a Beaujolais is not a grape.
No, Beaujolais is the region. Yeah.
Okay.
So just south of Burgundy.
Okay, can you explain why Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, this is good.
It's a little test. She just passed her, what?
WSET level 3.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so WSET is the Wine Spirit Education Trust,
Okay.
and it's one of the ways you can become a certified wine expert.
Okay.
The other way is the Court of Master Sommeliers.
Okay.
So that you've probably heard them called CMS.
Yes. Okay.
And I believe that's Amanda, who we mutually know. I think
She has
that's
that
her.
through that
Yeah.
pathway. Okay, so is that level 2 that you have?
I have level 3.
Level 3. Congrats. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
That's like a big deal.
It was the hardest test I've ever taken. I actually met with the person who taught it yesterday, and she said that I was one of 2 people to pass with distinction in the whole class.
Goodness,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. I know. So this is a good test now to see how much I recall.
Yeah, so my question was, so like you'll say like a Pinot Noir, like may I have like a Pinot Noir? And like the Pinot Noir is the grape.
Yes.
Right? It's the grape, it's the varietal, right? But you just said like a Beaujolais, that's the region. Why are they calling it a Beaujolais versus what's the grape name?
Gamay.
Gamay, right? So like why aren't you calling the Beaujolais a Gamay versus like a Pinot Noir just a Pinot Noir, you know?
Yeah, so it's more about the growing region. So New World versus Old World.
Okay.
Old World, Spain, France, Italy, those are going to be regionally specific.
Okay.
So you're ordering a Bordeaux. Now, I know the 5 grapes that are in a Bordeaux blend.
Sure.
But you as the average consumer might not know versus the grape that is in a Burgundy, which is Pinot Noir.
Okay. So, it gives you obviously you don't want to say like 5 things, right?
Right.
Okay, so
yeah.
is that the reason you don't want to name off 5 varietals as the type of wine?
It just means you like that blend of wine. You like
Okay.
Bordeaux is a blend of 5.
so they're all blends. It's not just like one grape.
No,
so
they're not all blends.
Sorry, I don't know.
No, you're fine. Wine is complicated. So
So-
Bordeaux is a blend. Bordeaux happens to
But
be a blend of
it
5.
has that
Cabernet Sauvignon,
Okay.
Merlot, Malbec, Cab Franc, and Petit Verdot. And I might have gotten one of those wrong.
What was the G? No, the one that you're talking about in the Beaujolais?
Gamay.
But that's the only grape in the Beaujolais?
Yeah, there are some.
So yeah,
some-
that's confusing, you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes there's Beaujolais that will have another varietal that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
But by and large,
Yeah.
if you're going to a restaurant, you see Beaujolais, it's going to be a Gamay grape.
Okay. Okay, so how do you distinct different types of grapes? Because like I feel like in my head, a grape is a grape.
So wouldn't that be so easy? But then we wouldn't have all this phenomenal
I know.
wine, right?
No, I know.
Grapes, and this goes really into the viticulture part. So forgive me, I don't know.
Viticulture. What's
it's
that?
The farming practices
Okay.
of growing wine. Certain grapes grow in certain regions better based on climate, based on the weather patterns.
Okay.
They might do better in certain soils. So for instance, for Bordeaux, Merlot is grown more on the right bank, which is Saint-Emilion, because it's more clay soil.
Okay.
And the Merlot vines prefer that type of soil versus Cab,
it.
which is more on the right bank. Think of Margaux. It's more gravelly. It prefers that type of
Okay.
soil. Different grapes have different thickness of their skins.
Mm-hmm.
So some will ripen earlier. Some will take a long, long time to ripen. Some will bud earlier. So from the flower to actually when it becomes a grape.
Okay.
And if they bud really early in regions that are really cold, like Alsace or Germany, that might be bad because then they might succumb to spring frosts and the grower could lose a bunch of their crop.
Okay,
But a
sure.
Riesling buds late. So it's not actually a grape quite yet when the spring frosts are potentially hitting the area.
Okay.
So that's why that grape is better for that region. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but that's one of those
Got
reasons.
it. That's so interesting because like it's weird that like you'll harvest a grape in a different weather region or anything like that, and the taste of the wine is like totally different.
Yeah, it's wild, right? So you mentioned Pinot Noir as an example earlier with Burgundy being in the Old World in France. So Pinot Noir is one of the grapes that's like so emblematic of the soil it's grown.
Yeah.
So
emblematic of the soil it's grown, what do you mean?
when depending on the type of soil
Okay.
that it's grown in and the region, it can taste a little different. You can really
Sweet.
it's very expressive of what the French call their terroir, which is soil and weather patterns and climate and
Okay.
temperature. Everything from like literally the aspect of the slope that the vines are grown on.
Jeez.
Right?
That's crazy.
I know. And so if you have a Burgundy, which is a Pinot Noir, from Burgundy. Versus you get one up here. I'm trying to think of a region off the top of my head, but
Napa Valley.
Napa Valley, Napa Pinot. They'll taste different.
Okay.
They'll taste wildly different.
But it's the same type of grape.
Same grape.
Okay. That's wild. Why do you think? I guess like Napa is like, I mean, it's just known for wine.
Yeah.
Is it? And like, it's just, I've been over there. It's kind of like hot all the time.
Yeah.
And like, everyone, like, that's the destination for wine versus like any other place in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think most things grow in California really well, like agriculturally.
Okay.
Like we have tons of avocados and almonds, and I mean, I don't know, when you've driven up to Napa, you see like you pass tons of farms and agriculture. So grapes they grow well here.
Okay. It's crazy because like a lot of agriculture is from California.
Yeah, it's
like,
just grows well.
Yeah, I grew up in Fresno, and it's just a lot of farm town and everything.
We
like
talked
that.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like living in LA, you don't notice it just because like you don't see like,
there's, like,
the
no
process
green.
or anything like that. Yeah, for how do you educate your palate, like like the tasting process of like wine? Because I don't know, you'll taste this wine and you'll be like, I'm gonna butcher this. It's gonna be like, oh, it has hints of rosemary from who knows where, and reminds me of summer and rainbows and like bay leaves. And
love that.
you know, I'm totally making a joke.
No, it's exactly. It's like, actually, he's right on, guys. Spot on.
And I'll taste it, and I was like, maybe it just tastes really good. Like, and it's also because I'm not educated my palate to like as many wines as you have.
Yeah.
Or I just don't have those notes in my head. For example, if you say like hints of like rosemary and bay leaves or like whatever, I don't really know the taste of a bay leaf or like a scent of a bay leaf, but like it sounds nice, you know? So like, how do you educate your palate in that way?
Dude, it's just practice, and and they go over it in my classes, like how to actually do it. It's called the systematic approach to tasting. So in case you thought that like wine education was just getting drunk all the time, it's not. And you go through steps of it. And so in my exam, we had a blind tasting, and you actually go through each step. Is this a medium lemon colored wine? Compared to like a pale or deep lemon or lemon green. Okay. And then you'll go to the nose, and it starts off with floral, and then it goes into green fruits and red fruit.
So there's like a process you go through.
Oh yeah. So I'm checking things off in my head as I'm sniffing, as I'm nosing. Let me be more professional.
She's a dog.
Nosing the wine. And so I'm thinking, like, does this have any floral notes? Okay, and what kind of floral notes? Like for me right now, what's really coming out, and part of it's because I looked this up ahead of time because I didn't want to sound silly, was I know this producer has their wines aged for 24 months on the lees, which is the yeast that has started the CO2 that gives it the bubbles. As that dies, it's broken down and it's called lees. And the best champagnes in the world will age for many, many months, sometimes many years on these lees, and it produces this autolytic characteristic in a wine, which is bready and yeasty and brioche or dough. So that's what I'm getting a lot of right now is that second fermentation lees.
So wine has to be fermented. So I kind of know the process of making alcohol. It's like sugar, meets yeast, it distills into a spirit, and that spirit's distilled into like beer or wine. Yeah. Is that accurate?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So the grapes,
I guess, like for wine.
Yeah. So for wine, I'm moving around.
Because technically, like the sugar part is the grape. That's the fruit. Okay.
Yeah. The sugar is in the grape.
Yes.
It comes into the winery. A bunch of different processes here, and fermentation will begin. And the alcohol is created from that fermentation process of the grape.
Yes.
With the yeast, and some producers will just use, like this one being biodynamic, will just have what's called indigenous yeast. So it's just the yeast that's floating around in the vineyard that's
really?
on the grapes already. Yeah, which is incredible.
So they don't add any.
Not all producers will. Yeah. So you'll have like organic producers.
And then the second fermentation is what makes it sparkling.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. So once the what they call a base wine is created, the producer will sometimes add in some reserve wine, depending on their house style of sparkling. So they might have some older wines that they keep in the back, and they kind of add a little reserve wine, some yeast, maybe a little bit of sugar if they want to, and cap it with a screw cap. And then that CO2 that's released during fermentation creates the bubbles.
Okay.
It'll age on the lees as that yeast breaks down, and then they go through a process called disgorgement. And I'm sure in French it sounds a lot nicer than that, but it's called disgorgement. And they actually remove the lees from the bottle and then put this mushroom cap in.
How do they remove it?
So they freeze the two processes. One is called riddling, which is taking the bottle from being horizontal and slowly moving it vertical.
Do they have machines that do this, or is this like by hand? Such
a good question. So they do have machines that do this, and I think they're called gyropellets.
Okay. Gyropellets?
Pallets? I mean, like, so side note, I have this problem where I took all of my education during COVID. And I've read it all. I've read all of it. And then you go to say it and you're like, what the heck?
I don't know if that's right.
Is that the right pronunciation?
Sure.
So I can spell it. Or they do it by hand, like old, like really fine champagne houses. Yeah. Will go in and actually have, I'm picturing like this old man going down into the basement, and he's like, and hand riddling. It was the process of riddling.
Yeah.
Then they take, once the lees have gone to the neck of the bottle, they dip it in a solution that's freezing cold. I think it's got some salt in it as well, and freeze it.
Okay.
And then they pop it out. They take the screw cap off, and the pressure from the CO2 pops it right out.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's actually quite dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like
people die in this process, and I don't know how many.
Maybe
I feel like people have died doing it.
Definitely, because how long has wine been around? Like
forever. Like the Etruscans. Again, reading it. The ancient Romans.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's the mystery of wine to me. Like, it's been around for so long. There's so much history to it. There's so many stories, and it's just mystery that it's
like lore almost. Yeah. Like it gets this magical quality. Sparkling wine was discovered by accident, actually, and I'm pretty sure it was in the Loire Valley, which is another part of France.
Okay.
And they used to do the disgorgement really confusingly. There wasn't the riddling process yet. They hadn't sorted that out, and so there would be all the sediment still in the bottle. And then a woman, a widow, in Champagne, created the process of disgorgement, and her name is Veuve Clicquot.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, see?
Yeah,
I feel like that's got to be true because I heard that at a winery.
Yeah, no, it's a cool story, and plus like a lot of it's like one of the only, I guess, like woman, very known, extremely high like quality like wines, and like there's kind of like a royalty type of like to that bottle, you know, like a lot of people just it's just like high end, like you know, I don't know, what do you think makes the price of the wine so high? Because like I'll buy a $5 wine at Trader Joe's, and then there's like $1,000 bottle of wine anywhere else, you know, and I'm just like it's wine.
Well, so many things that can go into that. And everything from really high-end producers will do hand harvesting. So they will actually not use any machines to go out and get all of their grapes. They have people that are hand harvesting it. So you can imagine that's just going to drive the cost up like so much when you have the labor costs, right?
Wait, so they will literally have just people go out and actually hand pick the
grapes
versus like a machine or a track. I mean, I don't know how the process is. So
versus a machine that goes in and like shakes the vines. Yeah. And your $5 bottles, your Barefoots, your Yellowtails. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna guess the only way that they can charge that little is that they're
just
machine
automated
harvested
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like I'm pretty sure every grape in Mosel, because of this, which is a region in Germany, because of how steep the slopes are, have to be hand harvested. They can't get a machine there. Your fine champagne.
Just because like the terrain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're hundreds, thousands of years old. They weren't made to have machines come in and do it. And
have you ever been to like those areas and like
Dude, I'm trying to go to Champagne at the end of next
Okay.
month. Yeah, I'm really
Awesome.
trying.
So you basically you fell in love with a bottle of dry Riesling. You're
I
like,
did.
I love wine. How
Yeah.
long ago was that?
Probably 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
4
Okay.
years ago.
But you like drinking, you did all these things, and
Yeah.
then like what made you like I guess pursue the like because for me I know basics about wine. Like
Yeah.
I'll know about the legs, tannins, reds, whites, certain varietals, like enough to like kind of talk about it at like a dinner table, just because I like wine and I'll
Sure,
drink
and you're
it.
in the industry, yeah.
Yeah, in this industry too. But like I wasn't motivated to like take a class, get sommelier certified, all these
Go
things,
crazy.
right? Yeah, which you did though.
Yeah.
You know, and like you were a teacher before.
Yeah.
And now you're like a sommelier / like CrossFit trainer.
Yeah.
Like how did that happen? Like what was the motivation to, I guess, like pursue it professionally?
So I think, and I don't know if this is like a fun answer, but I just don't half-ass things. When I want something or when I'm really passionate, I'm kind of
Sure.
all in on it.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a wonderful quality. That's awesome.
It can be. It can be obsessive and ridiculous and all-consuming. But yeah, I'm all in on it. So I knew I wanted to do education after I graduated with my bachelor's. And I got a master's of education, and I went.
You wanted to do education, like teach.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
And I just kind of all in on education for like 6 years, and
Yeah.
had really high test scores in my county and whatever. And then I fell in love with CrossFit and wanted to get certified in CrossFit, actually just for myself. I just wanted to be able to do it correctly.
Yeah.
And like the points of performance were really important to me. So
Also, I feel like if you teach in any way, if it's school, if it's in CrossFit, if it's in wine, you understand the craft so much
totally.
better, right?
totally.
Because like the best way to learn is by teaching.
You're exactly right.
It is because you could learn from someone else, but it's the act of doing and the act of explaining it to someone else who doesn't know as much as you, and they could digest it in an easy manner, is like when if you could describe like a deadlift in like 5 seconds, simple to like someone at your gym, and they understand, they take it in and they do it correctly,
So
you're
awesome,
like,
man.
oh, I actually know what I'm doing.
I actually know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Or example, you explain this like wine to me like simply and whatever, this that, and I was like, oh, like I just did that, I actually understand it.
Yeah. Different cues, and you know this from coaching, different cues don't work for
Everybody,
everyone,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's been so rewarding to see when dude, I'll tell you this. I just had a member tell me, oh yeah, Alyse taught me how to power clean. I know. And I was
it's
like,
such a good feeling.
I was like, can I go on my gravestone? Like that was, because my favorite lift is a power clean.
Okay.
Like absolutely.
Can you explain what a power clean is real quick?
Oh gosh, and not probably as well as I can explain the the wine we're drinking. A power clean is a Olympic lift, barbell from the ground, and it is a way of getting the barbell from the ground, rapidly extending your hips, dropping under the bar, pulling your elbows through, and standing up with the barbell on your shoulders.
She's doing the motion right now, so she can explain it properly.
Trying to think.
Let's go, coach.
Right. Was that it? I mean, it was like halfway through. I'm like, am I explaining this for podcast or coaching it?
No,
'Cause
I
those are
think I was
different.
coaching it. I mean, basically, I guess the way I would explain it, it's
What is
like,
it?
it's
I left the shrug out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like cueing it. You're kind of
Yeah.
cueing people through it,
Yeah.
but ultimately, it's picking up a barbell from the ground and racking it on your shoulders.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Right.
I love that.
That's it.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a lot of biomechanics to it, which you kind of explained the process of how to do a clean.
Right. I feel like and the harder things are, some like paradox of life, the harder things are, sometimes it's easier to just put it in a, or maybe I should say the easier it is to just say it, it's actually really deceivingly hard. It's like a snatch, for example, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the most efficient way of getting a barbell from the ground overhead. It is the worst and hardest and most challenging Olympic move I've ever attempted.
I'm not good at it.
No, who among us? Who is out there just snatching shit left and right?
I don't know. We were talking about the CrossFit Games earlier a few weeks ago, and it's just crazy. Like all those humans in those games, the CrossFit games, like
Yeah.
make it look easy.
They make it look so easy. I want them to put and then one of the jokes about CrossFit is that they have the fittest spectators, the fittest fans on earth, right?
I think it's accurate.
I think it's pretty accurate, right?
I think it's accurate.
But you take the most fit spectator, put them on the floor, like your average Joe, there's no way, they can't do half that. They can't do a quarter of that shit in the amount of time. No way.
The thing that impresses me so much is especially the woman who compete in the CrossFit games.
Man, I love
Because
watching them.
it just kills my ego because I was like, I think I'm a strong dude. And then I see these ladies, I was like, how much weight is that?
They're like warming up with your PR.
Yo.
Yeah, for real though.
For real though.
I know.
Like, it definitely kicks my ego.
Dude, 2017, no, I'm lying to you. 2019, Amanda Barnhart muscle cleaned like the first 3 or 4 reps of that competition.
2014?
2019.
2019. And when you said you watched that, you told me about this last time, that's when you really, like, I was like, oh, that's
it like
super
changed
dope.
my life. Yeah. I had not
How so?
seen...
How did it change your life?
I hadn't seen, well, it will get a little serious here. I hadn't seen women that strong ever and that proud of being strong.
Yeah.
But more than that, like on a very personal level, I've struggled like my whole life with body image. I've struggled with an eating disorder, and watching women feed themselves and fuel themselves to be strong, not just as skinny as possible, has really shifted my complete worldview.
Yeah, that you could also be like strong and feminine.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And like being proud of what your body can do and not just what it can fit into or what it looks like.
Yeah.
It was just so freaking awesome.
Why do you think that was like the standard of beauty? Maybe like, I think probably like 10, 15 years ago, maybe it's just like the skinny, not muscular.
Like the 90s. Like drug addict-y looking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, objectively looking at it now, but that was like the standard of beauty. If you go rewind like a few hundred years ago, like beauty was like, you had a lot of fat on you.
Yeah, because it meant you were well fed. You had
well
access
fed.
to
You were wealthy.
food.
All these things, like you were healthy. You know, and so like, what do you think makes that like that perspective change on just like the like beauty? Because like right now, like the I guess like the standard of beauty, I would I'm trying not to like cross any lines. Is like, yo, a girl who like, or a male who like lifts weights, is strong, like, and is well fed, is that's beautiful, you know? And like that standard was not the case in the 90s.
No.
You know? So like, what do you think made that like switch to like that right now?
I have no idea. I want to, like, it sounds like we have a better idea of range of beauty than we did in the 90s. I think some of that might just be I don't know, double-edged sword, like access to social media where people of different shapes and sizes are speaking out. And we've got full-figured women on the cover of Sports Illustrated for the first time ever, right? But then there's the negative side of it is still like there's all of this attention on looks and features. And I don't know, I don't know why, but I think what's an interesting thing to ponder is the question of why it's even a thing in the first place. Why has this idea of, especially for women, what is attractive shifted culturally? Like why is a woman's attractiveness even a culture measure, a thing that culture has to talk about? We don't talk about like the attractiveness of a man's body changing over time.
Sometimes
we can compare like
I think so.
Yeah. Like how?
Like I admire like just beautiful people.
Yeah.
Right. And if that in I guess like my standards of beauty, sure, because like it's subjective. It completely is subjective. But like I will admire a man's physique to the point of where like someone will be like, dude,
you okay,
are you homosexual? I'll be like, no, I'm not.
But it's also
just,
kind
like,
of your craft, right? So
sure,
you know the work that goes into it.
Yeah. No, I do agree, but like there's some like I guess like a really jacked like a male model on a cover. I will admire it, not totally knowingly that I will not achieve that physique.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I feel like there are some women out there or just humans who will like see especially girls, a very beautiful lady on a magazine, and instead of admiring it and knowing that it's unattainable because of their genetics, of like their work ethic, whatever, that they're like, oh, I'm going to try to be that and compare themselves to it, even though they will never achieve it, just because they're comparing themselves, and that's their aspect of like just comparing, because they're not getting the status of like that girl on that magazine.
It's also that girl in that magazine doesn't look like that. Like the amount of Photoshop and energy that goes into crafting that is, but yeah, no, why is, because I think women are valued for how they look a lot more than men are, right? So you can look at it and you can
think so.
I know so.
Okay.
I've been a woman for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely know so, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's how we exist in the world in a large part. I hope that that's changing. I look at like my nieces and some friends I have that are younger than me, and it doesn't seem to be as a big part of their life. But I know growing up, I modeled a little bit while I was younger, and it's completely altered my worldview and how I have to actively think.
How so?
I would say, getting back to like kind of like body dysmorphia and eating issues, just really putting a lot more value on my physical appearance.
Yeah. What body dysmorphia and eating issues did you have?
So body dysmorphia is, and I don't have the exact definition, like DSM-5, which is, like the official definition or whatever, but a intense critique, I would say, is how I could sum it up. So never being happy, even as I've gotten stronger or I've hit weights that I've wanted to hit, noticing like cellulite or a stretch mark or this weird thing that my arm does. All sort, like, I mean, just all day long.
Is a small, I feel like a small critique of your body, not to a point that's unhealthy, is actually healthy.
How so?
So like for me, I'll look in the mirror, like when I get up, I'm like, dang, bro, like you should work out today. Like you're looking good, but like you could look better.
You could look better.
Right?
Yeah, maybe for certain people it is. I think that's a very fair point. Like, not just because you critique something that you're like, wow, I've really been drinking a lot lately. I should cut back on that.
Sure.
Like most people can do that, and it's fine.
That,
For me, it's not like
back to your obsessive personality of like you go right into it.
Totally obsessive to a point where it becomes like very hard for me to focus on anything else.
Okay. And then what type of disorders do you have for the eating disorders?
So
if you don't mind me asking.
No, this is great. I have atypical anorexia.
Okay.
So that is anorexia that
you still do?
I don't know if you're ever fully cured from it. I think it's something I actively focus on and make sure that I'm feeding myself well.
You're self-aware?
Yeah. I bet it's something like, I'm an alcoholic always. And like I'm not an alcoholic. Whoops. So I don't know. I mean, I've gone through therapy and gone through programs, but
what does the atypical mean of the anorexia? Because like I know what anorexia is.
Right.
I've never heard of atypical.
So anorexia, there's a certain like body mass index number you get to where you're categorized as being anorexic. Like you don't have enough body fat on you. No. Your weight is too low for how tall you are. For me, I've never hit that. I've never stopped eating enough to be that low. Okay. But the behaviors are very similar. So if I know I'm going out to like a big dinner, my kind of like anorexia brain might be like, oh, well, don't eat breakfast today. Don't eat lunch today. Save it for that dinner. If I've had a big eating weekend, I might starve myself on a Monday to make up for it. And those are really, when taken to the extreme, very, very unhealthy.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I've had a lot of people on this podcast who've had eating disorders.
That's LA.
And it's blown my mind.
Yeah.
It's blown my mind because I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like I would say like most of the women who I've had on here, I would say 90% have suffered with like eating disorders, and it just shocks me every single time because I'm like, that just sucks. Like I couldn't imagine it, and it's hard to empathize with you ladies because I've never experienced it. So like it just sounded kind of foreign to me, and you're explaining like these emotions that you're feeling and these body image things that you're feeling. I'm just like, wow, like I can't even relate.
It's. I don't think I ever, until I sought help, I didn't realize that the things I'd been thinking since I was like 9, 10 years old were symptomatic of an eating disorder. I just thought that's part of growing up, right? You realize your things are not, they're one and the same. Like, oh, everyone kind of has issues, but my issues are also not always the same as other people's issues.
So did CrossFit, like when you saw, what's her name?
Amanda Barnhart.
Snatch or was it snatch? Clean all that weight?
Yeah.
Power clean all that
Yeah.
weight. Like how did you get yourself out of that? I don't want to say it as a whole because I think it's like your process, and I think you're the human you are today because of that experience, and it's like you're like better because of it. But like some people are stuck there a lot longer than you were probably, or haven't even tried digging themselves out.
Yeah.
And I guess like how did you do it?
So it became more about feeding myself for performance, which can also be harmful if that's then you just become so focused on just that, right? And I started realizing that I was working out not as a punishment for what I ate or to get into a bathing suit before an event, but because I was proud of what my body could do. So it really, CrossFit's like the first time I've been proud of my body.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's made me like excited to go do something, as opposed to just like really hating random pieces of me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's probably why I got into coaching a bit as well, because it's in many ways saved my life and changed my life, that I thought, hell, I want to bring this to people, like this excitement. And I really have such a heart for people who are working out, especially when they're starting off, and making sure that they're doing it for all the right reasons. Like having the background I have, wanting to make sure that they're doing it to get strong and to be able to do this when they're 75, 85 years old, right? And for their health overall, not just for their physical, the way they look.
Yeah. I mean, working out for functionality and just capabilities of your body is, I guess, in my opinion, healthier than like, I guess, the looks of it.
Yeah.
And in turn, if you work out for functionality,
nice byproduct.
It's a good byproduct. Like it goes hand in hand, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the main reasons too that I got into like personal training. Fitness changed my life, and like, not saying like losing a ton of weight like helped me, but like at one point I was overweight and I lost like 20 pounds through a buddy helping me like learn powerlifting, and mentally, physically, I just like felt better. I felt more confident in all these things, and I was like, whoa. If I could help someone else feel this way, not even look like this way, feel this way, feel confident, feel strong, feel like you could low-key conquer the world. Yeah. And it sounds wild. It sounds like unrealistic, but that's how I felt.
I totally get it. I
feel like fitness does that for people in just like every single type of way. And sometimes you'll never achieve that, I guess, like, that you don't want to compare yourself to others, but like you just want to get the feelings that other people get, you know?
Yeah. I just, and then you've got like, let me pour you some more here.
In a little bit, we'll try Amanda's bottle.
Oh,
I want to see the reactions.
My reaction. I'm going to love it. This is my first time I've tried some. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So Amanda was on the podcast a couple years ago and she gave me this bottle and she said to open it up in a couple years, and like, she hosted the Millennial Wine Competition.
Shout out Millennial Wine Competition.
Shout out. That's how we met. That's how me and Alyse met. And I just thought it was like a good wrap around.
I love that. I'm so excited. I can't wait to try. I haven't had any yet. I'm so stoked. But yeah, you've got all this, the fitness and the self-esteem and the being proud of it. And I don't know if you've had the same experience, but for me, doing barbell work was the thing that really shifted it for me. It made me feel, maybe as a female, I never thought in my life I'd pick up a barbell, but it made me feel so badass.
I love that you're saying that, because I have a lot of friends from, I guess, like high school or even college who are females, and they just don't want to lift weights because they're like, oh, make me look too bulky. And
you know what I say whenever because I get that all the time coaching.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You will not be able to put in the effort it takes to get bulky. I'm trying to get bulky. Like, it takes so much effort to get bulky. To build muscle takes years.
I always say this.
You're not going to get bulky. I promise.
Especially to girls. I say this all the time. I was like, men spend years and years and years and years lifting a ton of weight and they still don't look like, you know, like if they can't do it, like
You're not gonna get bulky. I promise. I did a.
it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time and energy, and like
so much focus.
and so much focus. Yeah, it's just I don't know why like lifting weights has that stigma. Because like I'm trying to get jacked, I'm still not there.
That's what I'm saying, man. I have to like super flex and be like, no, I swear.
You see that guns? You see those guns?
I swear I work out. And because normally people like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Like I'm like,
Sure.
no, see.
Also, CrossFit has like a negative stigma.
Sure.
Sometimes. And especially me coming from a powerlifting bodybuilding background, I didn't get introduced to CrossFit until I did a Murph in 2018.
What was your Murph time?
I did it with a vest.
Nice.
It was an hour and a half the first time I did it.
Nice. That's not bad for your first time.
Yeah, not bad for the first time. I got down to like I broke 55 2 years ago or a year ago.
Sweet. With vest.
With a vest. Yeah. It's hard. It's one of the hardest workouts I've done, and it's in terms of caloric burning as many calories as in a short amount of time. It's solid, but my whole perspective on CrossFit when I was educated about it, didn't know it. I was like, people always get injured. It's you're slinging your body around, like all these things. And it wasn't until I did the Murph with a military friend of mine, and he showed me all these documentaries of the CrossFit Games.
Oh man.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was watching like, especially like Rich Froning, Matt Fraser, like,
oh man,
especially from like a dude's perspective. I was like, they're fit in every type
all
of way.
There's throw
Swimming,
anything at them.
Running, weights, pull-ups, handstands, body weight.
They
like,
had guns at one point, and one of them was CrossFit. Like,
yeah.
But they had like a shooting range thing at one point.
Sure.
They do mountain biking.
Yes.
You're like, what? Like any type of like any
rowing,
skill, accuracy, stability, cardio.
Yeah.
Like, they can do everything.
Yeah. So why do you think the stigma is like kind of negative, like from in that aspect?
I think you're exactly right. I think people get injured a lot. I think,
Okay.
but
Why do you think they get injured a lot?
I'm trying to be careful. I think it can be coaching. I think there's a lot of, in my experience, different gyms that I've gone to or dropped in on. There's sometimes younger dudes whose bodies can recover very quickly.
Sure.
Coaching, and might not have like enough knowledge, right? And CrossFit you can get really strong and you can get really fit doing it. And that makes you want to keep going heavier. And there is this community push to go heavier, to lift heavier weights, to go faster. It requires the athlete to know their body well. So I have a shoulder thing right now. I've had it for a while.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
And I don't do push-ups right now.
No.
I'm just giving it a rest. I'm not doing it. So I'm doing other things. I'm doing like tricep extensions or other things.
You're self-aware of your body.
But you have to know.
Yeah.
And you have to be at a gym that has really phenomenal coaches. Like I'm very lucky. Our gym is a Krav Maga gym that started offering CrossFit. So all of the coaches have come up through Israeli martial arts, Krav Maga. And that is such an intentionality on form. And so much focus on doing things with accuracy.
It's Israeli?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm
going to go with yes.
Yes.
Confidently. And no one's going to look it up. It's Israeli martial arts.
Yeah.
And so when they coach barbell movements, when they coach pull-ups, they're very specific on form and accuracy because that's how they've done their whole athletic career.
Yeah.
So my suggestion, if you're looking into CrossFit, is to really think about the coaching and make sure you're going somewhere that's not just pushing you to lift heavy.
Yeah. Also, CrossFit isn't just like Olympic lifting. It's not just like kipping pull-ups. It's not that. From what I understand, like, I don't know the definition of CrossFit. I don't know if you could give me a solid short answer, but like I know like you could do circuit training. Like I know there's some type of workouts. I don't know. Also, can you tell me why like CrossFit workouts are all named after like women?
Because women are awesome.
I mean, yeah, they are.
I actually have no idea, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but some of those workouts are just body weight. It's like push-ups, running, mile, or like whatever. And like that's not what it's perceived as.
Right.
You know, it's not perceived as the clean and jerk and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But back to your self-awareness of your body, like I don't do cleans right now and I don't use snatches because I have a bad wrist.
Yeah.
And I just want it to heal up. And with time, I think it will be good. But right now, I just am accepting that my body cannot do that.
Yeah.
And I will do other things to get the satisfaction out of fitness.
And if you're at a good gym that's like, okay, you know your body, we trust you, we know you.
Yeah.
Here are alternatives, which is what I've been doing for the last few months. Like,
Yeah.
here are alternatives. I also think, back to your point on injury, and I do think there's injury in CrossFit for sure, but you're going to get injured in your life. If you just sit all day at a desk, you're going to have carpal tunnel, or your hips are going to be weird, or like you'll have issues standing up. You'll have muscular like atrophy, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a little
Like
shoulder.
osteoporosis or
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather have a little shoulder impingement because I did too many pull-ups during Murph. Right? Like
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, that's
I forgot that you got it doing Murph. I remember you said that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather it be from moving my body than from being lethargic.
Yeah. I totally believe in the statement that if you don't use it, you lose it. For sure. Because, like, there's so many people who, like, they're sitting all day, right? And they never, like, get their butt past parallel.
Right.
Right? And so they simply cannot,
Yeah.
like, sit down or do a squat, you know?
Yeah. And those, like, deadlifting and squats.
Did you hear that water?
Yeah, I
All right,
think
give me a
your- I think
second.
your water
Water's
turned back on.
Give me 1 second.
We can use the bathroom now. Perfect.
Water's back on, folks.
Everything's good now. But like squatting and deadlifting, those are incredibly functional movements. You
Yeah.
squat and deadlift stuff all
All the
throughout your
time.
day, and you're going to
You're picking
for your
things up.
life.
Yes. And so, like, I had a client, and he couldn't even sit, like, he couldn't even, if you do squatting motion, right? He couldn't even do past the quarter squat. Like, his knees, his hips are just all tight, you know? And, like, that's because he just hasn't used it for years.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people, especially in the United States, who do never go past, like, sitting.
It's kind of scary to think about, right?
You know?
Yeah.
And for years. And then they try to get into fitness and, like, their body just can't do it.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work to get there because, they're trying to, like, the thing about CrossFit, it's like they're trying to improve so quickly
Yeah.
and get into it. And that's how they get injured.
Totally.
And it makes me frustrated because, like, they have these expectations of progressing so quickly. But how long did it take you to gain the weight that you have on you right now? How long did it take you to have these
Yeah.
impingements?
Oh, yeah.
Years.
Like 5 years.
Yeah, like when someone tells me, like, oh, I'm trying to lose 50 pounds in 2 months, I'm like, how long did it take you to gain those 50
Exactly.
pounds? You know?
It's just
wild.
so much. It's so much effort, and I feel lucky, and I love that I'm talking about CrossFit so much. CrossFitters only talk about CrossFitters is the thing. Like that's what we do. But it's the community. I don't know another sport that has this level of community engagement.
What has the community of CrossFit done for you?
So we had a member recently say that this is like their church, which was they come every morning. It's dedication. People know who they are. They know who their kids are. They know their spouses. They know what's a heavy weight for their neighbor. Like, oh wow, that's like, wow, you're really killing it today. They know their other members' PRs on things. They see progression not just in body size or shape or fit level of fitness, but also all of this stuff translates outside to me. Like you're in the last round of something and you can choose to sandbag it and phone it in and use it your last round as your cool down, or you can push it, right? All of that stuff translates to how you live your life outside. And when you're in these really challenging moments, when you're at that bottom in that hole of a squat and you've got people around you cheering you to kind of come up, it doesn't, like, I remember the first time I found out somebody voted very differently than me. That was in my class that I always took.
Sure.
And it blew my mind because we had these moments, if it's weird to say intimate, but very close moments.
No, they are
They're
intimate.
so intimate because you are so vulnerable.
They
You're
are
so
intimate.
vulnerable. And realizing that like I could hold both of those things simultaneously. I could completely disagree with this person's politics and also know that they saw me at my weakest / strongest moments and helped me get out of that moment, you know, or cheered me on in the open.
Yeah. That's one thing that I do not like about I guess politics is because just because you think a different way means you're not a good person or like you don't agree. And like ultimately like my whole philosophy on life is just like be a good dude. I mean, be a good person, you know, be kind to people. Like those communities are important, you know. And if regardless of politics, if you help other people and you're just a good human and you keep spreading it around, and that's just like a ton of love that like just makes the world better regardless of like who you think should be in office, you know?
Yeah, people are not just one thing. They're not just who they voted for. They're not just where they fall on the political spectrum.
The question, like what you do, it's like you do a lot, you know?
Dude, I've been trying this for years, but almost everyone still responds with their job, which I understand. But I've been trying to, instead of ask what they do, I try to ask what keeps you busy during the week. Because
I do like that.
Right? But people still respond with jobs normally. But sometimes you get somebody who's a stay-at-home mom and whose week is beautiful and how they spend it and volunteer and spend time with their and you have a different.
There's a purpose there too.
Oh, totally, right? It doesn't have to just make money to be meaningful. So I've been trying to say like, what keeps you busy?
I'll ask you my
week?
favorite question right now. It's what are you most excited for in your life?
What am I most excited for in my life right now? So I have this wine education. I am attempting to make money doing it. So I've got a sales pitch. This is going to get recorded. I'm a little nervous now because now if it doesn't work, I'm going to feel like such a failure.
No, you're speaking it into the world.
It's manifesting. I come from the South, a very old, like old back far Christian tradition.
Sure.
And that we would call it speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
But I have a sales pitch going to a CEO today about being a corporate sommelier for a fintech company.
Okay.
So as far as I know, it's the first type of job of its kind.
Sure.
But
yeah, what does that consist of?
Thank you so much for asking. I should have brought my sales deck for you. As a contracted basis and kind of specifically tailored to their needs, I would do guided and curated happy hours, which they as a company do, but I would choose it specifically, themed it, host it, snacks, etc. Do curated digital content for their employees. So as an added benefit, do videos, quizzes, articles, things that matter to the employees within the wine and spirits industry.
Okay. So this company is in the spirits industry.
They're not.
They're not.
No, they're in financial technology. So it's a long shot.
No, I don't know if it's a long shot because there's a lot of people in financial and technology who love wine.
They love wine. So it's a three-pronged approach. One is corporate events that involves the happy hours, as I mentioned. When the board comes in, offering guided tastings, doing classes. A lot of people are trying to do back to work initiatives and back to the office initiatives. So being a part of that.
Sure.
Another option or another part of it is digital content for their internal app that they have their employees go to. And then the third part is sales support. So their sales team, when they take clients out to dinner, do a prep call with me ahead of time at the restaurant, help them choose the wine, help them know how to talk to a sommelier, help them know how to order, do mini classes for them on wine regions because we've got clients who are like, oh, I only drink Bordeaux or I only drink Burgundy.
Sure.
So we have a lot of newer salespeople.
Okay.
And prepping them on what that kind of stuff
How did
means.
you get that opportunity to, I guess, like pitch? Obviously, it hasn't happened yet?
It hasn't happened yet, no. I worked for this company formerly as I've lived a lot of lives. I worked for this company formerly as a tech recruiter. So I actually came in when they were about 50 people. Okay. And they're at over 1,600 now.
Oh, nice.
And I helped grow the company, yeah.
I think I think you'll do just fine.
I'm hoping. We'll see.
Because my whole philosophy on just like making money is doing what you enjoy, what you put your attention to. So it's either you enjoy it or not, right? So you're putting your attention to wine and get better at it. And that's it. Because, for example, personal training, I never really wanted to be a personal trainer, but I just did it for me, like you said, for you.
Yeah.
And I got better and better and better. And then people ask you about like things, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to be a personal trainer, and then I charged a rate and got better, got charged more.
Yeah.
And it wasn't planned. Same thing with bartendings or bitters. I don't know if you saw that I have a bitters company.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll make you a drink at the end.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like you put your attention to things and you get better at it, and people could see through the bullshit. I could totally see that you're into wine and that you're a dork about it.
Nerdy.
And people love that. Because there's so many things in this world to like and do, and the people who are really good at the things that they're good at, like people are interested in it. Like I love seeing someone who's like passionate about like cameras, or passionate about wine, or passionate about like teddy bears. There's so many people online who are making money like literally talking about certain types of like teddy bears, and it's just like what they enjoy. They put their attention to it, and it's cool to see. Like that's why people watch documentaries. They're super into, they're watching someone do their craft.
It's really beautiful to see somebody's passion come out, whether it is exactly what you're into. Like you can recognize it and appreciate that somebody's put energy and attention to it. I went to the CrossFit Games in 2021, and my husband's not really a CrossFitter. Like I programmed some stuff for him. He's gotten a lot more into it, kind of because he has to. I'm so obsessed with it. So it's like a byproduct.
Where was that? Where were those games at?
Oh gosh, there Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Okay.
And people were like, you guys are going out there for a week? Like his coworkers asked him, and he was like, man, it's just awesome to see somebody who's at the top of their craft or so passionate, like whatever it is. It's
That's bucket list. I want to go.
Oh, you have to. It's so much fun. Let's go next year. Cause I didn't go this year and I knew I was going to regret it. And
Why do you regret it?
Because Tia Toomey's there. It's her 6th year. She became the fittest person in history.
6th year win, right?
6th year win.
Did you watch it online?
Oh yeah.
I didn't.
My gosh.
It was wild. I saw her interviews at the end. Were the events good this year?
They were really good because Castro is out, so there's a new guy programming.
Who's Castro? Oh, he's out. Oh, really?
My CrossFit knowledge goes very deep.
So the Mexican guy, right? Was Castro?
Castro, yeah. I don't know if he's Mexican, but he was
brown skin.
Yeah.
Okay. Did the young kid win again this year?
Medeiros, Justin.
So 2nd year win.
Yeah, but there was some controversy this year because Ricky Garrard came back.
Okay.
So this is getting. I'm really loving that we're doing like wine and CrossFit. Like this is literally, I think my Instagram used to say wine and wads. Like this is 100% of who I am. Drinking wine and getting real deep into CrossFit knowledge. Yeah. So Ricky Garrard 5 years ago placed 3rd. And Pat Vellner, who is the 4th love of my life, or 5th after my husband and Riesling. And
the ginger,
you know me, I just couldn't help myself. But I call him the ghost because he's so pale. Love Patty V. So Patrick Vellner placed 4th. Ricky Garrard placed 3rd. They do their testing at the end.
Testing.
For doping.
Oh.
And Garrard had taken performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh, so it had nothing to do with Justin.
This was 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had a 5-year ban.
Okay. Came back.
Came back this year and placed 3rd again.
Okay.
So I guess he's clean so far. But
what's the T?
For me personally, the T is. He's never gonna hear this. He's like, Alyse Jacobsen, you rude bitch. It doesn't seem like he's remorseful or contrite in any way. Like it's very much like he came in like he was owed it. I don't know that he's ever apologized to the person. 'Cause he didn't win 3rd. Pat Vellner technically did, and didn't get his like podium moment.
Yeah, because Pat Vellner never placed top 3. No, he has. No,
he did. I think last year he was 2nd.
Yeah. How old is he now?
Poor guy. Everyone keeps thinking he's going to retire. I think he's 32.
Yeah, and that's like... No,
And he's got a baby, too, and he
that's
works part-time.
Yeah, that's not super old, but like he should be...
He's nearing the end, right?
Yeah, like, but he's been in the game so much that, like, honestly, that sucks that he has to still, like, work doing his thing. Like, the biggest thing about CrossFit that sucks is, like, a lot of them don't make a lot of money. They're still doing their jobs while training, you know?
I mean, I know they have sponsors.
No,
right?
for
Especially
sure.
in the U.S. Like, in the U.S., you can do it.
Yeah, like, Frazier just was living off, like, Nike sponsors.
Sure.
In the beginning. And
Yeah, and Froning's doing fine. Because then they, like,
he started his own thing.
They
yeah.
leverage it into,
They
like, their
leverage it
own
in.
boxes.
But, like, compared to, like, I don't know, basketball, who, if you're...
Oh, they're making millions, right?
Well,
yeah.
if you're the 100th, so, like, 100th person, 200th person on the ladder, you're still making $1 million, right?
Crazy.
If you're 100 people down on the CrossFit
You didn't
ladder...
even make it to the games.
You know?
You're not making anything.
That's
it's
why...
just passion.
It blows my mind because I feel like the money should be better in, like, CrossFit.
Yeah, the what was the prize? 310,000. But I think CrossFit's the first, if not maybe even the only sport that has the equal prize payout for men and women. They pay the men and the women the same.
That's dope.
Right? They
That is
always
dope.
have. Yeah.
I can't think of any other sport that does that.
I know.
That's wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you call it? You want to open up this
let's do
Amanda's
it.
bottle?
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
I think it's called 5. The winery
I'm
is
stoked.
called Aja, for Amanda's and her brother's initials.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, she's so awesome.
And yeah, how was the experience while you're opening this multitasker? How was the experience with the millennial competition?
I had an amazing time. Dude, I loved it. I told Amanda, I was like, I want to be a judge next year. It was so much fun. You know, meeting everybody, meeting the judges was incredible. But what was really cool for me was the back end of it. Like Amanda's organization of bringing in over 100 wines and spirits, maybe 200, and organizing it so that each panel over 3 days did different tastings.
That's so impressive.
So you guys did 30 different tastings, 30 tastings during your time, right? You tasted 30 different things. My team did 30, so that's 60 there. And they're different wines and spirits.
Sure.
And then there were 2 more days that had 3 tables of 3 judges. I mean, it was just crazy how she kept it so organized.
Yeah, I was impressed.
The logistics are wild.
I was thoroughly impressed. So I honestly got into wine because of Amanda. She started a Psalms club at UCLA.
Oh, so cool.
And we would go... is it okay to drink it in this? I know it's against like wine people.
No, it's fine.
But we would go on the top of her apartment building and she'd pull out like slides of just like different grapes, where they're from, like blah blah blah. And she's a college chick, you know?
She's awesome.
And I was just curious if I was supposed to do the millennial competition last year, but I got COVID and I couldn't do it.
Oh.
Which is fine. But like I did this year and I was very impressed of how organized everything was.
Right?
I was impressed with the fact that you could get so many spirits to be submitted to the competition because they have to pay to like get in is so impressive. So impressive. And that just speaks volumes. And then also the type of people who came to judge.
I was just going to say that. I thought it was really
I was like
phenomenal.
They had it was very diverse.
Industry experts, people who know their shit, right? And also people who are personalities or whose opinions are very well respected in other areas.
That not just industry.
Not just in the industry. And what's cool about the Millennial Wine Competition is that the idea is gauging the millennial palate. So yes, we have these experts that are millennials that really know their shit, right? Yeah. We also have millennials who are intentional and whose opinions matter in other types of industries, judging it as well, because they're also buying wine. Everyone's buying wine. Everyone's buying spirits, right? So their opinion still matters whether they're certified XYZ. Yeah. I love as far as I know, it's the only type of competition that doesn't just have experts.
I found it so awesome in that aspect because that is true. So many people buy alcohol. So many people buy like wine. So what do we get from the nose? What do we get from the nose? So hold up. This is a 2019 Aja 5
Beautiful.
wine. It is a blend. It's from the Malibu coast. It is, I don't know what grapes are in it. It just says red wine. So it's probably a blend.
It's probably 5 grapes then, right?
5 grapes.
5. Yeah, I'm going to guess 5.
It's Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot.
So it's her Bordeaux.
Okay. Petit
Right.
Verdot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a grape. Mm-hmm. And
Merlot? Yeah. So that would be, so remember we were talking about a Bordeaux being a blend of 5 grapes. This is, right?
That's where 5 comes from.
There you go.
All right,
Learning.
Did you try to taste it yet?
I have not. I've just been nosing it.
Nosing it.
It's nice, right? There's a little like, almost like cigar box on a little tobacco.
I was about to say, the tobacco's
little
there.
Spice there. That's nice.
It's definitely, I taste the tobacco for sure. That's definitely up in
beautiful.
front. Shouts out, Amanda.
Yeah, those tannins are nice and silky. They're well integrated.
No, it's smooth.
It's not grippy at
It's
all.
super smooth.
It's still kind of young. That's only 3 years, right?
3 years, yeah. Yeah. If usually, like, I don't love, like, super, is it tannic wine? Tannin wine?
Tannic, yeah. Is that
Tannic,
one, like, the...
when you're super thirsty after, like, you know?
it's dry. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's super dry.
tannins.
Yeah. So this isn't that.
I'd be interested to see the percentages because, like, Merlot has a lot silkier tannins, and that's what that can bring to a blend.
Yeah, no,
whereas
this is super smooth. I'm
it's
impressed.
really nice.
Yeah.
Shout out Amanda.
So, how did you, like, quit, like, teaching out of nowhere? Because, like, I don't know if it was because of COVID, because you started staying there, but, like, that is such a jump to, like, literally end. I mean, you ended a part of your life, right?
Yeah.
It's a totally different world.
Totally.
And switch over not knowing that you will have any success or you in it, or you did, I don't know. But, like, there was no, like, you didn't wait. Like, you just cut it off and then did something else versus, like, teaching while learning wine.
So,
and then you get something and then you keep going and doing
I
wine,
had
you know?
a career in between.
Oh, okay.
So I was a teacher. I taught high school for 4 or 5 years.
Well, let's pause there. How was teaching high school?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know that any of my students will hear this, but if you do, I still think about you and I love you.
Nice.
I'm connected with some of them.
Which grade?
I taught 11th and 12th.
Okay, 11th and 12th grade.
Yeah. I think I will never have another job that it was more important than that job.
Teachers are just so undervalued.
The impact that you have and
They don't get paid jack.
oh God, no. That's a whole other. I think
Unless you go
my
to, like, a
last
dope
year
private school or
teaching, I had given up a prep, so I usually get 2 periods off, one to eat lunch and one to prepare. I'd given up my prep period, and I taught adult ed 2 nights a week to make more money, and I still made like $42,000. I know.
That's just sad
It's
because
so sad.
I look back at the teachers that I had in high school and the ones that really made an impact on my life, and they changed it for the better.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of teachers who, like, didn't care as much. And the fact that I know they didn't make a ton of money, but still put their heart and soul into, like, just really caring about these kids and, like, really caring that what they say, do, and, like, respond and teach means to the upcoming of these young humans. It's just awesome. But, like, it's just not the value isn't weighed out properly.
It's the most important career I'll ever have. I absolutely know that.
Yeah. I
also know I'll probably not go back into it. But there's no other job in the world where you show up at 6:45 in the morning because you're teaching at 7:15, and I'll never forget it. One day I walk up to my classroom, and there was one of my students outside the door crying. He had gotten his girlfriend pregnant.
Shit.
Yeah. And in Florida, you have to be very careful about how you handle that because you can get sent to jail for giving out too much information about ending pregnancies.
Sure.
Right? But he is an incredible father. And I watch him, and we connect on Facebook, and his daughter's 7 years old now. And he's just an incredible father. And so being able to witness that and know that like he came to me to talk to me about it because he was so, I mean, how afraid would you be at 17?
Yeah.
Like so afraid, and his life is just flourishing. It's just, it's the most important thing I'll ever do. But I did that. And then my husband wanted to come out here actually for his career. And it was only supposed to be 1 year. So we moved from Florida to LA for 1 year. And
Did you want to come out here?
I was,
long
yeah.
pause, not
yeah,
long
I know.
dramatic pause.
Your audio did not cut out. Yes, I did. I did want to come here. There's a lot of reasons why that I think I did. I was getting disenchanted with teaching. Not the students. I mean, I know people
Just teaching in general.
Just teaching in general. Everything we've already said about it. And
Before you continue that story, I was like, why do you think that people get bored of things? I don't know. Like I'll do something for a while and I'm like, I'm over it. On to the next. You know, just I follow my curiosity.
Yeah. I totally relate to that. That's why I'm like, I've had a career between that.
No,
like,
yeah.
Totally.
Glad that you specified that out.
Yeah.
But like, where do you think that comes from? Just because like, I feel like you and me are alike in the sense that if we're not curious or like enchanted by our whatever we're doing, we're gonna find something else that enchants us, like wine or like whatever.
Well, I think like I'm a highly passionate person, and so if I kind of get out of it, I'm just like, okay, well, what's next? Like, what's next?
Yeah, but something
for
has
me?
to happen to make you like not passionate about it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because you said you dive head first and you go in and you did that about teaching, but like, why would you stop if you were so passionate about it?
So a couple of reasons. One was I was really tired of getting up that early in the morning.
Yo, you were just at a CrossFit class at what, 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, I
today?
know. So if you would have told me, I've given up an entire career because I did not want to get up out of bed. Like that's like partly accurate.
Okay.
I wish I wasn't that way, but partly I did not want to get out of bed. The reason I was coaching at 6:45 this morning is because it's a super long story, but that's my community. That's my group. Those are the people who genuinely get me out of bed in the morning and get me started. And when I'm not there, there is a difference in the way that my brain works during the day. Yes. It's like, it's being around the people that know you. Like these are the people that they see me, they know me.
Yeah.
And
Communities and tribe just like make your life better.
Yeah.
It just is.
It's the only thing that would get me out of bed. I woke up at 5:30 this morning because I was up late last night with my husband drinking, and we were having like we watched the Buttery Bros episode on the CrossFit Games.
Nice.
And I didn't lesson plan enough for class, and I'm very like intense about getting that done and lesson planning and making sure I have my sequencing right. So I got up at 5:30
Do you do playlists too? Do you like plan your playlist too?
I'm not there yet. I just put on Run the Jewels.
Okay, that's fine.
I just like Run the Jewels, shuffle play, done.
Yeah,
it works every time.
Does it?
Yes. Nope. I don't know. No one said anything yet that they noticed. It's the same.
Yeah, I'm lazy with the playlists too, so like I definitely get some slack. They're like, can you find something different than this? So I'm like, fuck, okay.
I've been doing a lot of Dre on lifting days. So we do strength days, and anytime there's like just like a 5x5 pause squat, then I usually have like Dre on.
Cool. So go back to.
So I was teaching for a bit.
Yeah.
We came out here for a year. We ended up staying here. Obviously, that was 7 years ago. And in that time, I took a job as a recruiter for a tech company.
Which is the one that you're going to pitch for.
That's the one I'm pitching.
Sick.
I did that through 2021. And
it's recent.
Yeah. And
So you just stopped. Kind of.
Yeah. I stopped about a little bit more than a year ago.
Okay.
Lots of reasons. We were growing exponentially. We had a huge reevaluation of the worth of the company, and the type of recruiting I did was a lot more boutique and handheld, and we became this international company that was a lot less hands-on.
Okay.
And I didn't have the skill set for that. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with like the Peter Principle, where you're promoted beyond your capabilities? So you're really good at a job, you get promoted. You're really good at a job, you get promoted. And then eventually most people reach a role that they like like sometimes they can't do because they were good at the one before that, but they're not good at this one. Right. So like lifting, you add the 5 pounds on. Okay. It's 1 rep max day. You add the 10 pounds
It's called
on.
the Peter principle.
Peter principle.
Okay. Continue.
Yeah. And
About the 5 pounds? No, I want to hear the analogy.
Right.
No, what's the analogy?
So you add the 5 pounds and then you get to the point where you can't lift it.
Yes.
So this is like the Peter principle. You promote beyond your capability. And I didn't want that to happen to me because I didn't have experience in international recruiting.
Yeah.
And I just knew the company needed more. I knew the team that I had built needed more.
Yeah.
So I waited for the incoming head of HR, kind of got them acclimated, and then stepped back and pursued wine.
Wow. I've never heard of the Peter principle. And now I think about it, it definitely makes sense. Like some people are just not meant to have a certain position.
Yeah, but they're good at the one they had before that, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, great, you're top next for the promotion. And then you're like, oh my God, you can't actually do this job. Or not the right person for this job.
Sure.
That's probably a better way of saying it.
Okay, I have a question back to wine. What makes the wine experience valuable in today's society? Because like you can argue that it's not valuable at all. Like with any kind of like with any type of like spirits job, like someone could argue that me as a bartender is invaluable. Like I could get a bartending machine that makes an old fashioned out of it and it pops out and there you go, it tastes exactly the same. And I would say that's accurate too. But like the experience, the knowledge about it and the story and everything is important because of just like history of like what it is and everything like that. What would you say the value is of like a sommelier or the value of an expert in wine or the value of just like this conversation with like wine with it? You know, what's the value in it?
So I think 2 things. One is kind of what you said, the story behind what you're offering them. Like I could just put this wine in front of you and be like, this is fine. It has bubbles in it. Great. But you know about the farming practices, you know about the region now, you know, but knowledge is such a beautiful thing to bring people into, to
Also,
give
it makes
people.
you appreciate it.
You appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
So much more. And then, well, I guess maybe 3 things. The second thing I would say is I think we're rounding a corner after COVID where we've been so isolated and doing so much online where we want an in-person, we want to go to the store. And
I want to go to the store. I want to go to the concert.
I want to do it in person. I want the interaction. I don't want to just buy it on Amazon, right? So I think there's a little bit of that. And then wine brings people together, man. Like you can have, I was telling one of the judges this at the competition actually, like you can have an absolutely incredible bottle of wine and sit by the fire and have a fight with your partner, and that'll be like the shittiest bottle of wine you've ever had, right? Or you can have like a super cheap bottle of wine, but the right group of friends on a pool day, you're having a great time. You're like, what was that? That was great. Like wine is so experiential with who you're with. It brings people together. It makes, also alcohol is awesome, right?
Yeah. So
kind of relaxes you a little bit. Like you have
there's a fine line to that because there are people with alcohol problems. Yeah. Right. And my slogan for the bitters company is spark your spirits. So like I love that. Spirits and actual spirits. Yeah. Play on words because like I think when humans loosen up, like we're loosening up right now and having this conversation, it's flowing better. It makes it gives the product gives you something to talk about. 2, you're loose enough to where like you can enjoy the other human being's spirit as well. Oh yeah. You know? And like I just feel like it's a connective pathway that is just beautiful.
It really, and it can take you, like somebody like myself has a lot of like anxiety. I'm in my head a lot, right? It can like soften that just enough to be
Why do you think you have a lot of anxiety?
I don't know. I'm alive in the world today.
Yeah, I know. It's just like I think the information overload just gives it too. But
dude,
like,
I silenced the news on my lock screen. I took it off.
Yeah, I don't watch the news.
Can't do that.
It sounds bad, but I get all the news from friends.
I follow one person on Instagram as a news outlet.
Yeah.
One person. I don't follow any news.
News is just so negative.
Yeah.
You know, and like when you get negative pebbles just thrown at you all the time, like you'll get anxiety, you'll get depression, you'll do all these things, and it's just hard to stay present during it. And it's because, in my opinion, you can't really do anything about it. Like the person, it's just like you physically can't do anything about it. So why would you consume it as much?
And you just have like an extra browser tab open all day, worried about Taiwan now I'm worried about Taiwan, like, oh my god, okay,
Yeah,
and then we were worried about that too, and monkeypox, and then like you're like, oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, when you can't really do much about it, and I had this I was listening to a podcast, I don't know where it came from, but it said that like anxiety comes from when you're thinking too much about the future, and just like, oh, what's happening, what are we gonna do, all this stuff, and you're just like, right? And then depression is you're thinking too much about the past. You're just like, I could have changed this. I could have done that. I could have done whatever. Yeah. And the perfect medium is to stay present.
It's just to stay present, man. Yeah.
It's a lot harder being done than said.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard, right? Like I've gone in and out of practices of meditation so much in my life.
Oh, give me your meditation. What's the meditative process?
Dude, it's
for you.
For me, when I'm in it, when I'm trying, is silence. Is focus on breath. And I mentioned earlier, I have a Christian background. And there's a type of meditation called contemplative prayer. So it's focusing a little bit on one word and a little bit of, instead of meditating to nothingness, meditating and focusing on like a higher power. And that has been somewhat more successful for me, probably because it just plays into a comfort of what I grew up with.
That's interesting, because I would say like most Christians or like whatever, they would say that they pray versus meditate, because meditate's more spiritual or like, I don't know, like Buddhist-y.
Yeah, it definitely applies to me a lot more where I am in my own spiritual journey, is that middle ground
of what?
Contemplative prayer, of not being fully like prayerful and praying to like a traditional Christian or American Christian God, right? And not emptying out completely, but being somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Meditating's tough.
Dude, it's
like,
so hard.
Sitting in one spot, trying to control your breath, trying to not think, or I guess that's not the right word, just trying to like be not worried about everything and just focusing on your breath. It's hard to do, and you're stuck alone with your thoughts, and I think that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, that's why I don't run.
Be alone with your thoughts.
Yep.
And that's my form of meditation. I run, right? And
so many people say this. I don't understand it, because when I run, I'm thinking this is the worst.
Really?
And also, it's when I think. Like my meditations is CrossFit. It's lifting. Yeah. Because I'm so present in the physical movement that I cannot worry about anything else. But
so for running, for me, I used to think a lot, and I just focus on one thing. It's the cadence. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just counting 1 through 4 for as many miles as I'm going, and all I say is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
I can
2,
see how
3,
that would be
4,
calming.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
And you can just do that.
I just do that, and all I think is about counting 1 through 4.
That's very impressive.
I ran a marathon in 2019.
Shut it.
And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But the whole time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And it makes me think, because like when I'm sitting with my thoughts, they're just alone. And I guess COVID did this for me. Like all my roommates moved out. I was living in Santa Monica. There was tanks on, you saw the news?
Yeah. I was at a grocery store buying whatever I could, watching the tanks go down to Santa Monica.
Wild. So I lived probably like a mile away from that. Shit. And I heard the riots. I heard the riots. I heard the protests. I heard the break-ins. I locked myself in my apartment.
So scary,
right?
Man.
And I read a ton of books. I just I had a barbell that I brought from my gym that I was training at in my living room, and I would just read, work out in there. And I had no friends. Like they all had girlfriends, so they went to the houses. It was just me stuck alone with my thoughts for I think 2 months. Just like me stuck in my apartment, and it was the biggest learning experience.
Wow. Because
you alone with your thoughts, you have to deal with them.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with them. You gotta deal with those whatever thoughts you have. And or they deal with you.
You made your own silent retreat.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
Unintentionally,
not signed up for.
I'm just scared. I mean, it's scary.
Wow,
LA was wild. The process of everything that just happened. I don't know how I'm still here.
Dude, sometimes I think back and I'm like, Okay, I'll probably have to process that at some point. The amount of fear that we lived with going to the grocery store and not having food on the shelf for the first time in my life. Like
Getting toilet paper?
Getting toilet paper was all of a sudden a priority I didn't realize. And what was so challenging about COVID was these other national tragedies brought people together, right? 9/11 happened and people came together. You go to war, people come together. COVID, you had to stay away from people.
Yeah, COVID didn't bring people together.
It didn't bring people together. It did the exact, like
Opposite.
physically the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And we're such community beings. Like we're meant to be together. We've survived. The way we survive is as a tribe. And not only was that not available, tribal community things became scary and harmful and were killing people.
Yeah.
I mean, the mental.
Yeah, it messed up. I think it messed up natural human nature.
Yeah.
Because like I would go on a hike and I'd say hi to people and they just like pull up their mask over their face and like not even respond hi back.
No.
And I was like, wow, like what is happening to the world?
Yeah.
You know, because like we are like very communicative human beings. Like if something good happens to you, what do you want to do? Tell someone.
You have to tell somebody. Otherwise, it doesn't feel real until you tell
If
somebody,
something
right?
bad happens to you, what do you want to do?
You want to get comfort from
You want
someone.
to tell somebody.
Yeah.
You want to get comfort from somebody. And like you probably like have that community in your CrossFit community. I have it in like my bartending, my bitters, like everything. Like it's just like you have to share your life with other people.
Yeah.
Like, or else, like, what good is it? Like, imagine if you're studying this wine and you have no one to talk about it.
No one, yeah.
Like,
It's not.
I want to do it.
Yeah. It's not fun at all. Like, I've been married for 13 years, and one of the things.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
It'll be 14 in December.
Nice.
I know.
You're approaching 15. 15 big.
15's a big one. Dude, every year after 10 feels massive.
Yeah.
Like, it's marriage is.
Do you have any kids?
I have no kids.
No kids, okay.
I think that's why we've been married. I'm just kidding. People with kids are superheroes. But so, you know, he's like the other part of me. Like we'll do things separately or go to experiences or events, and it doesn't feel real until I've told him about it.
Sure.
It doesn't feel real, or I'll be like, you have to come to this restaurant. Oh my gosh. Like it doesn't feel like I've done it until it's with this person. And so COVID luckily I'm married and we were together, but if you weren't, like, reality feels distorted when it's just singular.
Yeah. Reality feels distorted when it's singular. Yes, I totally agree with that.
Right?
Like, you make up things in your head. Seriously, it's just like you kind of go insane like that.
Yeah.
Why do you think the worst scenario for jail, like
I was
people in jail,
literally just thinking this
is isolation?
Yeah.
In a dark room.
And
They
some
go
jails
crazy.
won't, like some states don't allow it anymore because it's considered inhumane.
I mean, it is inhumane.
It is. Like you will go crazy.
Yeah.
And we all did that to varying degrees for like a long, and some people still are isolating in different ways.
I think it's good sometimes, like back to like my unintended like self-isolation. Like I learned more about myself in those like 2 months that I did my entire life, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and back to being self-aware of your body, but also being self-aware of your mind and like who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Like that's just as important or maybe even more important.
And
you
it
know?
takes work. It takes work with with the eating disorder stuff, being aware of where my thoughts go and being conscious of that and guiding it, which is kind of like a practice that you learn in meditation, but guiding your thoughts back on track and being able to look at a thought and just go, okay, it's okay that that's there. That doesn't mean it's reality. It's just something that's come into my brain.
Yeah.
I can let it go. It doesn't
Let
need
it
to
go.
be.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Or you've got these other really big, serious things, right? That you're like, okay, I should probably actually deal with that. I should talk to my therapist about that one. That seems big.
What's your advice for like, it seems like you've dug yourself out of like, obviously the eating disorder hole and like, as well as you became more confident through working out and you're chasing your curiosities. Like if you don't like something or you feel like you're not supposed to be there anymore, you're going to other things. Like, what's your advice for someone who, I guess, like that girl who has like body dysmorphia issues or is like having crazy anxiety or doesn't feel like she should be teaching anymore and wants to get into wine? Like, where did they start?
Yeah. So I would say with the body dysmorphia or eating issues, I would say the thing that helped me was actually just admitting that it was a problem and seeking professional help. And that's not available to everybody. Its cost is so prohibitive, but finding somebody who is skilled in it, because it is a real issue, and you're unlikely to solve it on your own. So that would be my advice. And that is actually just admitting that you have a problem. There's nothing wrong with you. And just find the help. I mean, really, it started off very simple. Like, I just have a mantra in my head sometimes that's like, you just need to eat it. You just need to eat. Like, you just need to eat. It's okay. Like, eat the food in front of you. Have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner. And then when you break it down to something like just have breakfast, like, it can be a little bit easier. It doesn't need to be monumental. You're not all of a sudden not going to fit into your dress because you had breakfast, right? But your brain goes a little crazy, right? Like, you need to eat food. You need to fuel yourself.
I'm going to dinner tonight. I can't eat.
Like, you're like, that's ridiculous. So just kind of finding the help and finding somebody that you trust to guide you through that. For the breaking out of what's not serving you anymore and kind of following your passion, I don't know if I have advice for that. I think it's knowing yourself a little bit, and then also trusting the people around you when they, like, my husband was a really big supporter of that. He was like, this is not what you want anymore. You know what you want. Go do that. You can do this. You absolutely can do it. So trust your friends and trust your family, and listen when they tell you the things they love about you. Listen to it. It's true. Like, let people love you. Let people tell you. Believe what they say about you and not what your brain tells you sometimes.
Do you ever get uncomfortable when someone says, like, too many good things about you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I actually don't. Like, you just, like, it's very funny because you're like, oh, you've done this, this, and this. And I was like, oh God, you're making me sound way more amazing than I am. Like, I definitely have, like, a tension headache coming from stressing out that I was going to fuck this interview up. So
yeah, no.
So, like, wow.
Because I get that all the time. Like, a lot of friends of mine will, like, just say a lot of good things, and I get very uncomfortable, and I just don't know why that's a thing.
I don't know either, man.
You know?
I don't know, but I don't know, being humble's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not, I know for me, it's not a humility. There's something that I struggle with believing that I'm worthy to be in a space. Yeah,
but it's also super cool to be the person that a lot of people talk good things about. Like, I mean, it's that's not a conceited thing. Yeah. It's just like, it's good to be the person that other people want to be around. Yeah. Like if people want to hang out with you, that means you're kind of doing something right.
You're doing something. You're putting good energy out there, right? I think people respond to genuine people. They respond to kind people. That's been my thing when I was hiring, when I was teaching. I like, just be kind. I think my main goal in life, honestly, if I was to delineate it down into one sentence, is I think I was put here to make people feel seen. Like, I want to be kind, and I want to make people feel seen. Like, they matter in the world. Like, once we've had a conversation, they've felt like somebody cared and was interested in them. Yeah. And if that's in teaching, if that's in recruiting, if that's in pouring a glass of wine and giving them my full attention during that, like, that just seems really like an incredible thing to be able to do. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's beautiful. For wine, if you have to give, I don't know, five wines.
5 wines
that are not super expensive or super cheap, just like good wines that the Joe Schmo could go to the store and buy. What would they be?
I would say, off the top of my head,
Dry Riesling.
I'm super Dry Riesling. I'm super obsessed with wines from Alsace right now. I think they're incredible
from where?
Value. Alsace.
Alsace. Okay.
Yeah, where we are. They're an incredible value. Like, I had a Dry Riesling yesterday that was like $25. I mean, just, it was phenomenal. So I would look for that. I'd look for Riesling. I like anything that's cooler climate, so you do have to know a little bit more. You can get some really, really good value California wines that are cooler climate, like Santa Barbara,
shoot some
Monterey.
Producers out real quick that you like, off the top of your head.
I don't think I can off the top of my head. I have like a notebook of stuff. Oh,
putting you on the spot.
I know. I don't know if I can off the top of my head. They're super.
Continue. So Dry.
Dry Riesling, cool climate like Santa Barbara, Monterey,
Okay.
for California, especially
Monterey
for like,
wines are really good.
right?
Really
They're
good.
really good, especially like a Pinot. I do a lot of sparkling right now. I'm super into sparkling.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I know that the wine competition. You're like geeking
I
out
was
over sparkling
so
wine.
ridiculous.
Like, oh, can I open it, please?
I was so obsessed. My New Year's resolution was to drink more champagne,
Sure.
or any sparkling, really. So that's 2. I think Beaujolais is I know I've already mentioned that, but I think it's another really inexpensive wine that is
Okay.
really, 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 really good.
Okay.
And you can get some good like Chianti Classicos, like some good Sangiovese that's not too expensive either.
A lot of Chianti Classicos are in right now.
Yeah, are they?
I think so.
My main suggestion is find a good local wine shop and ask. Always ask, because like you just asked me for producers and I'm like blanking completely and stressed. I'm going to say the wrong one. Like, like so afraid, but go to a wine shop, a small local one, and just ask questions and trust them. Buy 1 or 2 bottles that are recommended. Try it. See if you like it. Go back to the same person. Like we have a great wine shop here in LA, the Wine House. That's right off Cotner.
Okay.
And then there's in Woodland Hills, there's the Woodland Hills Wine Company. It's phenomenal as well. And there's a lot of little local ones. Helen's Natural Wines as part of John and Benny's.
Why do you think Cab? Because why do you think just Cabernet in general is like the most popular wine? Because
It grows so Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh my god.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
We've had a little wine. It grows so well. It can grow pretty much anywhere. So I
Okay.
think that's why.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love a good Pinot. Like Pinot Noir is my favorite
Oh yeah.
wine.
Where do you like it from? Pinot Noir is I don't know if you can curse on this.
No, you definitely can. I don't know. I just really like it. Like I've compared like wine side by side, and I just like Pinot Noir better.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pinot is my favorite red.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite red. Have
haven't
you had Oregon Pinot Noirs? So Christome is my favorite. There's a producer.
Oregon. Yes, I've had one. I'm trying to remember the producer, but I can't think of it right now. Hedges is from somewhere else. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, Oregon has really good wine too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
Cooler
wine.
climate. So
Yeah,
Pinot
I
grows
just
well
like sweet wine really like are very is sweet wine? Is that
sweet
accurate?
wine's a thing, but you might be thinking very fruit forward or jammy.
Jammy, that's
Yeah,
it. I don't the jammy wine's like not great.
I find California Pinots and Cabs to be a bit on the jammy side for me.
Okay.
Like region is big for me if I'm going to drink a Pinot from California.
Yeah. Would you say Meiomi is like a jammy Pinot Noir?
I would say that.
Yo, a lot of people like it.
It's a palate. It's very pleasing. I've had it.
Pleasing. I like it too.
I've not hated it. Like if you poured it for me, I would drink it. I might, but I wouldn't go buy it personally.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's just very jammy.
Yeah. But I also don't really like. I mean, I might be the only person that I know that doesn't like a Napa Cab either. They're just so high alcohol. They're so heavy. It's just too much.
Yeah. Do you taste wine a lot still? Like obviously you're like in the industry, and do you like actively
Do you like wine tastings?
Wine tastings?
Yeah, I try to do as much as I can actually.
Because you're still like, is it baby sommelier? I mean,
I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. I like the term
learning.
baby som though. That's actually gonna be my new Instagram profile is baby
But
som.
like you're like tier 3 now, so you can't really say yourself as like
Yeah,
a baby.
it's
You
still
knocked that.
experience.
You knocked that
I
those
really
3
did.
tests out so quickly.
Yeah.
Like people take years to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just love it. I love learning, but
Yeah.
but reading about it and testing on it and
It's
then
different.
tasting
different.
is totally different. So I'm definitely.
Did you do all that by yourself?
I did the first 2 completely on my own, and then the third one was a combination of in person and online.
No, what I mean is about like groups and stuff, because I've watched a few like documentaries on
Sure.
like being a somm. They usually have like groups that they like taste together.
My
and do
third
all
one,
this-
I had
okay.
it. So I've got a wine group that we meet. We haven't met in a
that's
little
so
bit actually,
cute.
but I know we're all a bunch of baby somms. Shout out to you want to know what we call ourselves?
What?
The Nebbiolos.
Nebbiolos.
Yes,
I love that.
It's pretty rad. We're actually quite proud of that name. And we try to do like once a month, once every 6 weeks. We sometimes do blind, or we bring bottles that we're really excited about. We do themes sometimes.
What's the highest tier of sommelier?
And W said it would be a diploma.
Okay.
And then I think in court, I think you can become a master som as well through another vein
So
of
what's
education.
higher than what you have right now in terms of
Diploma.
diplomas? So it's like literally tier 3 and then diploma? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's 6 sections with a test each, and each section is like $1,500
How many people are at tier 3 right now?
in the world.
Yeah.
I think a lot, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know that they all pass with distinction, but
Because like I heard only tier 3 there's only like 600.
I mean, that would make me feel really proud, but
So you don't know.
I don't know.
You should find that out.
I should be like, just so you know, I'm one of 600. But there are more people that have been to the moon than are like master soms, though. Like the highest level that you can do, like the ones the movies are about when they go do like the som movies. I think there's like legit more people that have been to the moon.
Yeah, I just don't know how
wild.
that testing would be.
You do like 24 blind wines, and then there's a theory question. Their
Okay,
theory question's like stupid.
It sounds, because when someone says so you could tell me the varietal. You could tell. No, I'm saying some people.
Oh yeah,
Some
I'm
people-
shaking my head now.
Some people could say the varietal, right? The region
Yeah.
it's from. And when I hear the year
Wild, right?
and they get the year right,
It's just insane.
I'm like, that's bullshit.
You think they're lying? You think they're
No,
just
I don't. I'm just like, how is that possible? It's because that's a superpower at some point.
yeah.
Like when you tell me the year this was harvested and like made, I'm just like, you had to guess that. In my head, but I don't know because I'm not an expert in the field, so and I don't have that palate.
Yeah.
And so
Well, they would know the way. I think the way they know that, and I don't know if it's for sure. I'm thinking is a bit of whether it was a hot year, so it's higher alcohol. The grapes are a little bit more cooked. And what was the other thing? Oh, you kind of also do some math in your head, right? So if
Yeah.
it's 2022 now, this tastes like a wine that has age. It's a little bit more tawny or brown. It's got the age characteristics of a wine that you're familiar with.
yeah.
Then you know it's older, and you might kind of play backwards a little bit from there. And these are people who taste every day, all day long, are so knowledgeable. So like they're remembering the characteristics. Like it's wild.
Yeah. Okay, so why do it makes me frustrated sometimes, like when sommeliers like taste a lot of wine, right? That it's very good quality, and they're just like spitting shit out
I
all the time.
know.
And I'm just like,
What are you doing?
that's like a $500 bottle of wine, and you're just spitting it out.
Yeah. So I don't do that.
Alyse is like, yeah, that's
no.
not my vibe.
That's not. Maybe when I get my diploma, it depends on what I'm doing. Like when I did the exam, I spit because I had, a 2-hour theory test.
Sure.
After that, I had to be sober. I did a Loire tasting 2 weekends ago, and I think we went through 40 bottles in like 2.5 hours. So I spit as much as I could that day, but I also like if there was a sparkling or there was something that I was like, this is really good, I didn't.
Yo, palate fatigue's a thing though.
Yeah.
Like even at that wine, the spirits
Especially with
competition.
spirits. Oh my word. I don't know how you guys did that.
Well, the thing is, like, by the 5th tequila or like whatever, I'm just like it was so I couldn't cleanse it. Like my palate was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So like I was struggling trying to give it like a fair grade because
on its own.
I was like, I think the last few fucked up my palate for this one.
Yeah, because sometimes, and that's the thing in a competition, like some of them are bad. Like they don't taste good, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not good, it kind of does fuck your palate up for something. You're like, I don't know. And liquor is hard. Like spirits are hard.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys did that.
I just the spirits industry is so intriguing to me because there are so many spirits out there. Again, there's so many wines out there, and like me trying to like build my own product of like bitters, I'm just like, how do you make it stand out so where like someone will buy it? Because like there are so many good products out there.
It's gotta be branding, man.
It has to be
branding, story, and people will connect with your brand and your story.
Sure.
There's a reason they choose. I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they choose one thing over the other, right?
Yeah.
It's brand. There's how many brands of like barbells are there, or Rogue versus whatever.
Yeah.
And they go to Rogue because it's got a good story and it sponsors CrossFit games, so it's got good branding.
Have you done anything with like on it kettlebells?
No, I've been, there's one that's got like a king on it. King something or other kettlebells is the one I have at home.
Okay. Now, Onnit kettlebells are sick because they have like faces on them. So it's like they'll have like a monkey, or they'll have like one that sold out was like every head of like a Star Wars character.
Oh, see, that's brand differentiation, man.
No,
That's so rad.
It was so sick, and my buddy has a couple of them, and like
it makes you want to collect them too.
It makes you want to collect them.
So smart.
It makes you want to collect them, and they have a time frame. Like, oh, we're only having Star Wars this year, and it's so cool.
Brilliant, man.
It's brilliant marketing, but just imagine and it also makes your videos cool if you're like recording anything.
Oh yeah,
because it has different faces.
Dude, do you have one?
I do not have one.
Right.
I have a ton of kettlebells over here, though.
I saw them.
I
noted the kettlebells upon arrival. Those weights look kind of tiny, though. What are those?
Damn. Alyse is talking shit about my wife. She's like, "You're not lifting it enough, bro." I think they're 12.5.
Oh yeah, we only go down to 15 at the gym. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
No, we have sorry.
No, you're good.
With the ones with the knurling only go down to 15, and then we have like the Pilates looking ones.
I was about to say you have to have some older.
Yeah, we do.
There, right?
Yeah, because we have people who, I mean, one of the most badass ladies I know is in her 60s. Full strict pull up, does every workout with us. She's freaking awesome, man.
What do you think about that? There's a lot of people who are 50s and older. I have a couple clients who say they're like, I'm just getting old, like I can't do that anymore. And I'm like, bro, you're in your mid 50s, dude. Like that's young.
You can and you should.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, why do people give themselves so many excuses to just not do it? Like that really frustrates me sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's got to be fear of not being able to do it, and embarrassment, right? Like you're coming in, you're fit, you're younger, you train, like they're going into a regular gym. They're the oldest person there. They're the least in shape person there. Just showing up at that point is so much work. Right?
Showing up's the hardest part about working out.
It's the hardest part.
Just
Every time, man. That alarm goes off and I'm like, ugh.
Alyse sounds like she wants to sleep in all the time.
That's all I want to do. I want to sleep in and drink sparkling wine.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole sleep thing is like, life's too short, get out of bed.
I love that mentality. I wish I had it. I wish I did. I wish I was a person who needed, like my husband can do like 5 hours of sleep every night and be fine.
I average 5.
Yeah. I don't do that. If I didn't have to coach this morning, I probably would have gone, but
I think just like sleep is important, but like I wake up and if my alarm goes off, I'm out of bed within 3 seconds.
I don't snooze.
Okay.
I never snooze.
That's solid. That's so.
I just want to sleep more, but I don't snooze. I just get to bed early.
Because a lot of people press snooze.
Yeah, no.
For like hours. I'm like,
I don't do it.
Yo, that's not even quality sleep. Like you're just getting.
I heard someone say once, pressing the snooze button's the first promise you break of your day, and I was like, oh fuck, I can't believe you told me that because that's never gonna leave my brain now, and it's always gonna be so.
Who said that? That's good.
Somebody at my gym. Like one of the like
is the first promise you break out of your day. Wow.
And I was like, okay, well
that hits.
Right? I know. For
that
like
hits.
the snooze button. I was like, that's way too serious. But it just stuck with me and I'm like, nope, that's the time I wake up.
Promises that you make to yourself are really important and I feel like you shouldn't break them because that's the biggest thing because also you're accountable for those promises. No one else knows about them, you know, and if you decide to break on those, what else would you break? This
is what I'm saying about the stuff you do in the gym translates, man. Like we had a workout where it was a partner workout and it very involved, high number of reps, 150, 120 renegade rows, 100 squats, 120
renegade rows
with a partner, so 60 and 60.
It's
still ridiculous. So ridiculous. It's not. Oh, okay, that's way easier. And then 150 kettlebell swings, and you were doing runs in between that and everything.
Kettlebell swings are slept on.
Yeah,
slept on.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
I freaking love some kettlebell swings, man. Separate whole thing. I love them, but
I just started renting out a gym space for like personal training clients down the street, and they have a 200-pound kettlebell, like 5-pound to 200-pound kettlebell.
You can't swing that. That's just got to be like for deadlifts.
Yeah, I got 3.
No,
Yeah.
that's so badass.
I
Good
got
for
3.
you. Russian or overhead? Just kidding. I know it's Russian.
It's Russian.
Don't put 200 pounds over your head swinging, please.
Also, that's so funny that you said overhead because the only people who do kettlebell overhead swings are CrossFitters.
We're so lame. The only person who would ask you after 200, after
Yes.
saying 200, the only person who would go further and be like, oh, really? Well, what?
Yeah.
What a jerk,
I was like, did
man.
this girl really just ask me that right now?
Such a
And
D-bag.
the proceeds to say is they were definitely just Russian.
Dude, CrossFitters are such assholes sometimes. I'm so sorry. That is really, 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 really impressive. But to the rep thing, like, I'm not counting your reps for you, right? You're counting your reps.
Yeah,
And
you'd be honest.
You're either going to be honest or you're going to cheat yourself. And so when I'm coaching, I'll mention stuff like that, bringing that stuff up. And it translates into how you live your life outside. That integrity just, it translates.
What does coaching do for you?
It gives me the same thing it gave me when I was teaching, which was the opportunity to make an impact by being passionate about a topic and helping people in that topic.
I think it's selfish sometimes in the best way possible because the feeling that you get from someone who accomplishes something that you tell them to do and they do it properly.
It's the best high, man.
When
that guy said I taught him how to power clean, all day, like nothing could bring me down that day.
Yeah. I just don't know why helping people is literally the drug that just keeps me going, like with any type of aspect in life.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, actually, with just some other like mental stuff I have going on and like with anxiety and how and maybe unpopular opinion, but sometimes like anxiety and depression, it's so self-focused. It's so inward on what's wrong with you. Having an eating disorder, having body dysmorphia is so, in some ways, very selfish. It's about you, right? When you can just take an act outside of yourself, like coaching, or like I call my grandma, or I just do something for someone else, it breaks you out of that depressive state because it's not inward focused anymore. It's about someone else. And so I've really been thinking about how what's going on up here for me mentally can be made better and lighter by acting outside of myself for other people.
Do you think that's like avoiding the stuff that you're trying to deal with up there at all by doing that?
Well, I think if I wasn't like actively working on that stuff as well, maybe. But for me, it's a way of not letting it like overtake me.
Yeah. I've been trying to be very, what's the word? Aware of like the words that I say. Very aware of the words I speak over myself. So for example, if you say you're tired, right? You're tired because you also say you're tired. You also say you have crazy anxiety because you say you have crazy anxiety versus like I am present, I am healthy, I am like the words that you say out of your mouth have an impact on like what you have on you.
The stories you tell yourself.
Yeah. So maybe it's that too. Like I feel like a lot of people are suffering because they say they're suffering when you don't need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did a podcast a while ago and you're talking about like spirituality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like
the podcast I did a while ago was actually about the idea of hell and how I didn't believe in a hell. And I had stopped believing in hell over time.
Wow.
Right. Which coming from a Christian background is like Christianity could be argued that the main thing is don't go to hell, right? We do everything we can to not be going to hell. And so
the whole point with that is funny. It's like, what's the 51%? So Christianity, in my opinion, is like you do 51% of good things, you go to the good place. But what defines what makes you do that? What's the line?
Well, how I grew up, at least, the like Christianity it wasn't like an amount of good things you did. It was, did you believe a certain set of principles and then you went to heaven versus hell. So I don't know if that answers your question on like.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole concept of like religion and spirituality and everything is, I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm comfortable with not knowing.
Yeah.
And my
Oh,
whole,
beautiful. Yes.
yeah, because the whole concept is just like it could get you wrapped up, and it could build anxiety, and you could do all these things. And again, just stay present, be a good person. Like,
Yeah.
that's my philosophy on life.
There's some really beautiful mystics, especially
Mystics.
in the Christian
What's
tradition.
mystics?
They kind of a category outside of modern theologians, much more on the spiritual side, much more ethereal. So there's some people that I would call mystics today. Father Richard Rohr, Mirabai Starr, James something, his name is escaping me. Even Brian McLaren, who's pretty well published,
Okay.
I would probably put into that category as well. But they think outside the present box of religion, and especially modern Christianity. And one of the greater, Saint John of the Cross is another one. Julian of Norwich. These are older like historic people. One of them wrote a book called The God of Unknowing, and it is actually about God is in the gray area, and you don't. If you think you understand God, it's not God.
Yeah.
It's no longer God. You've not understood it, and so getting to a place where you're comfortable with that, for me, naturally took me outside of the Christian religion, because I no longer needed to know if I was going to heaven or hell, because I didn't really believe in that.
That kind of makes sense though, because like spirituality, like when you said spirituality, I was like, that kind of doesn't make sense with like, spirituality doesn't go with religion. Like, it's,
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
there's kind of like a fine line. It's either you're spiritual or religious, or some people are like spiritually religious. It's just like a whole spectrum of just like what's right, what's wrong, and I just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, you don't know. And so it's being comfortable with that. And it's also not just because you don't know doesn't mean you don't stop living it out in some way or seeking. For me,
I feel like the pursuit and finding the answers is the part that's awesome.
it's like meditation, man. It's not being perfect at meditating. It's the pursuit of meditation. That is meditation. There's an amazing Bible verse, actually, very Christian of me to bring it up, but I don't always know what honors you, God, but I think in trying, I honor you, something along those lines. And it's like, that has been just resonating with me. Like, I don't always know what is the right thing to be doing, or what the right meditation looks like in this moment, but in the pursuit of it is getting it right. It's the pursuit of doing it that matters.
Yeah. It's not just with religion too, like it's with difficult questions. It's like, what's the meaning of life? Right. That's a deep question. It's fucking trite. And you might come up with a conclusion, but it's the process of going through it and thinking about it and trying to find an answer that will never be found. That is that part.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the attempt, it's the process. It's, you might, like in a relationship, I might not always love my partner exactly how he needs to feel loved that day.
Sure.
But the fact that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to, right? That's the
Care.
I care enough to attempt it, or to ask the right question is love, is the point of it. It's the point of trying.
So before we close up, how, if someone doesn't know anything about wine, how do they get into wine?
I would.
Besides just like drinking it and
I would
like
drink it. Dude, I would, if you want to be super educational about it, I can't recommend the WSET courses enough.
Okay.
WSET. Though they have a level 1 that's just real basic, super easy. They have a level 2 that's a little bit harder and then goes all the way up. There's also just, I also am a big supporter of like local sommeliers in your area. Like if you just Googled or put one onto Instagram and found people that were offering classes in your area, go support that.
Nice. Awesome. And where can everyone find you?
Oh,
I know you just made it like public,
I
right?
did. I'm coming now. You're so sweet for remembering. I am at Alyse Loves Wine. ALYSE Loves Wine.
On Instagram, and just Instagram?
Just Instagram.
Okay.
Should I be expanding my reach? I think I might be on TikTok too.
TikTok.
I am on TikTok, man.
TikTok too. Like it's crazy the amount from the conversations that we had at the wine competition. I was slightly buzzed. So I was asking all the influencers,
Good
like
for you.
I was asking them how much they were making off TikToks and stuff, and it was insane.
You can tell me after we stop recording, because I want to know.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And it really opened my mind to like, okay, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, you need to like start pursuing it, even though it sounds ridiculous or whatever. That's just what the world's going. Like, technology is the new age.
Yeah.
Like, and like if you're stuck in the old ways, like, you're not going to benefit from it.
I know. Yeah,
and
man.
It's everything's evolving quickly.
So fast.
And
Wild.
yeah, it's hard to say. Once you, I want to hear about like when you're done with your pitch and everything.
I will let you
Once
know.
you get it,
Fingers
like we're gonna have you back on
Oh
later.
yeah, we'll talk about it. Yes, I'll be so excited.
And what's your last name? Johnson? No,
Jacobsen.
Jacobsen.
Alyse Jacobsen.
All right, Miss Alyse Jacobsen. Everybody go check her out. Hit her up for wine knowledge, everything like that.
Ask me some questions.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.